Alright, it is time to react to WrestleMania 32, or WrestleMania Star. Yeah. Man, and again, my camera memory cards are full up with marathon footage from my 24-hour movie marathon, so I'm just doing this as an audio podcast, I suppose, for now. Man, well, I'm speechless. I'm speechless. It is currently 6 minutes past 6 in the morning. WrestleMania didn't finish that long ago. If you counter in the pre-show, which was 2 hours long and had 3 matches on the card, you're looking at about 6.5. In fact, over 6.5 hours for WrestleMania. And even if you take the pre-show off, it was a 4.5+ hour WrestleMania. Too much, far too much for me, regardless of everything that went on in that main event, Roman Reigns and Triple H. I was just too tired to care. And it almost felt like that was the plan. They would string the show out to the point where people wouldn't care by the time they got to the main event, that they wouldn't have the energy to boo Roman Reigns. But nope, that crowd in Dallas, they were there to boo him for sure. I'll run down the card very quickly. We'll leave the pre-show. It was what it was. Opening match, the ladder match, fantastic. One of the better ladder matches for sure. It wasn't too long. Everyone had good spots and stuff. Sin Cara definitely stood out as being not very clean, or not committing to a lot of the bumps and stuff. Obviously, his fall to the outside was crazy, but he seemed to stand out as not as great as the others. Everyone else did a great job. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, great to see them at WrestleMania. Really, really cool. Huge upset swerve, Zack Ryder winning the belt, but I loved it. I think he's a really, he just seems like such a genuine guy who loves wrestling so much and has put a lot of work into his his career, and so I see no problem with giving him the belt. I think he'll probably lose it tomorrow night or tonight on Raw, but I think it was an awesome moment and an unexpected one. It was cool. He did an amazing elbow drop as well off nearly the top of the ladder. That was really cool. Then what did we have with the New Day against the League of Nations? It was alright, and then as soon as League of Nations won, I thought, right, piss break time. I came back from a piss break to see Stone Cold on the stage. I thought, oh, Stone Cold's come out for a promo. Then I see Mick Foley and Shawn Michaels in his wrestling gear. I then noticed that Foley's wrists are taped up, Austin's wrists are taped up. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? I couldn't believe it. Then I saw the League of Nations were still there. So that was just a crazy moment. It gave me a pang of sadness to see Shawn Michaels in his wrestling attire, because he looks like he can still have another run. I mean, he's in great shape. But my favorite of all time. Back in a ring in his wrestling gear, hitting a couple of super kicks. That was fun to see. And Austin dropping a couple of stunners. It was fun stuff. It made pretty much no sense, but it was WrestleMania. It was a cool moment. I enjoyed that. Then what did we have? God, there's just so much. Jericho and AJ Styles. I think that was before that, actually. Jericho and AJ Styles, it was a good match. It was a really good match with some good drama towards the end, but it just, for me, it wasn't, it wasn't, it was great to see AJ Styles at WrestleMania, but it just didn't feel like the crowd were that into seeing AJ Styles at WrestleMania. The crowd wasn't great for the match. But it was a very good match and surprising finish. I really don't know why Jericho won. It really feels like the only reason he won was so that they could go, see, you smart wrestling fans, you smarks, you don't know everything. I don't know, man. It made much more sense for Styles to win, but whatever. It was a good little match. We had Dean Ambrose versus Brock Lesnar. This is the one I was most excited for, and it delivered. It was fantastic. I loved it. It was a short match, unfortunately, but the psychology was just so on point. The selling from both was out of this world. Unbelievable. It was just such an interesting, unique matchup. All the little details were fantastic. I just wish it had gone longer. If you added another 5 to 8 minutes on that match, I think you could be looking at a fantastic match, like almost a classic, like a street fight classic at least. But the way it ended was very legit. It wasn't much of a, Brock could just annihilate Dean, and he did. But I wish we'd seen more of Dean fighting back, more of Brock kind of toying with him to lengthen out that story. But it was what it was, and I enjoyed it. But it was a disappointment. But it was still a great match, I thought, because everything from bell to bell was perfect. Then we had the women's match, and this is where I feel like such a sap because it got me really emotional. You know, they renamed the Divas belt to the women's championship. Well, they didn't rename it; they introduced the women's championship. So the winner of the Divas match became the new women's champion, basically. And they even referred to the women as WWE superstars, which I thought was really cool. But it was just seeing how much importance was bestowed upon these women. They all had big entrances. You know, even Becky Lynch had all this smoke going off. We had the big entrance for Sasha Banks. The Charlotte was wearing a robe that was made out of her father's robe that he wore during his retirement match at WrestleMania 24. I love shit like that. It just it gave me a bit of a lump in my throat. I just thought, this is really fucking cool. And what can I say? It was the match of the night. It really was. They rushed a bit at the beginning. They botched a spot that would have been really cool if they'd got it right, and it was a botch, unfortunately. And you could tell that maybe they were trying to rush to cover it up. But they settled into it, and you know, it was a really, really great match, I thought. Just really well done. The crowd was so invested in it, and it was a finish that got a lot of heat. Of course, Charlotte going over. I don't think anyone... Well, I suppose some people probably expected it, but I think everyone was waiting for the Sasha Banks moment, and it didn't come. But I think the thrill is in the chase, and so, you know, we got the whole summer to see, you know, Sasha chase the title. So I think that's cool. Yeah, it was a great match. It was a match of the night. It just was, I think. Just in terms of it being a great wrestling match. Then we had Shane McMahon versus The Undertaker, Hell in a Cell, and it's like, no idea what to expect. I love the psychology at the beginning, you know, Shane just trying to outpace The Undertaker, or, you know, run around him and just trying to get those little jabs in here and there. And then it really slowed down. It was a fight. You know, they were slugging at each other. It wasn't pretty. I wasn't really a huge fan of how Undertaker got so, he seemed so fatigued after not taking too much punishment. I mean, he took a DDT onto the steel stairs, but I don't know. Part of me just felt like they went too soon into Taker getting really beat up, you know. Apart from that, though, I thought it was a fantastic match. People are trashing it, saying it's Undertaker's worst match. People saying it's like a car crash. People saying like, oh, it's like a match I used to have when I was a kid in my backyard. You know, the pace was terrible and all that. No, it was a slow burner. It was never going to be, you know, a Shawn Michaels Undertaker match. It was never going to be a CM Punk Undertaker match. It was a Shane McMahon Undertaker match. And they had some great stuff. I mean, Shane just took so much punishment. The last ride, the chokeslam onto the steel stairs, you know, the spear through the cell, the big bump through the table. I mean, you know, Shane put his body on the line to the likes of which, you know, he's just left such a mark on wrestling, I think, with the amount of punishment he's put his body through to entertain people. And emblematic of that, I think, was his jump off the cell. Unbelievable. I never thought he'd do it. Never in a million years thought he'd do that. The cell is so much bigger than it used to be. That elbow drop we saw tonight, that was a harsher bump than Mick Foley's. I'll say it. It won't be as iconic. It won't be as memorable, but it was it was higher than the Foley bump, and it was straight down. There wasn't much. I mean, when Foley got thrown off, he kind of curved his body. There was some momentum there, but obviously devastating. But this Shane one was just straight down, bang. Unbelievable. I just, and then the ending was so perfect. You know, Shane just sitting there going, bring it on, I'm not done yet. And Taker just pats him on the head like, fair play, son, let's just finish this. And then again, when Taker left, he turned around and just gave Shane a little smile. Brilliant. In fact, maybe this was my favorite match of the night, you know, just for the story. Women's match was the best wrestling match, but yeah, I think I'm going to be in the minority of really enjoying the Shane Undertaker match. Yeah, it was slow, but, you know, Shane really, he did the best that he could at his age. I mean, remember, this guy hasn't wrestled in, 6-7 years, you know? And he ain't a wrestler. And he just put on a hell of a show for people. And again, that bump off the cell was just so unnecessary, so unneeded, but it added to the match, and it really just, it was great. It was great. It was just, I felt ill as he was climbing up the cell. I was shaking after he did the bump. It was just unbelievable, and I hope he's okay. And I think he is. I think that I think them carrying him off on the stretcher was a bit of a work. Anyway, from there we go to the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Was what it was. Good for Baron Corbin, I guess. It was fun seeing DDP, Shaq, whatever, and then we had The Rock come out, and this is where I realized that WrestleMania was going to overrun hugely. The Rock coming out, it felt like a Make-A-Wish kid had booked this segment. The Rock comes out with a flamethrower, and for about 5 minutes he's just firing it off. It was just one of the most weirdest things I've ever seen. He comes out, he announces that they've broken the attendance record, his music plays, and I thought, was that it? It seemed ridiculous. And then the Wyatts come out. So we get the big Wyatts entrance, which was really cool. We get a nice promo between them, and then I gotta admit, I got caught up in The Rock ripping his pants off. He's got his attire on ready. He has a little match, a 6-second match with Rowan. And then John Cena comes down, and again I was like, holy shit, I got caught up in it. Was it great? No, but I kind of loved the spectacle of it. It was fun. And then we had the main event, Roman Reigns, Triple H. I always said that it was going to be a really good match, and I think it was a really good match, but it's hard to judge whether it's a really good match when you've been up for 7 hours watching this thing. You know what I mean? The crowd just rejected Roman in every way possible. They tried their absolute best, and it felt to me like this whole feud has just been like a clone of the Daniel Bryan thing. The guy who has been pushed back by the Authority, who the Authority is doing everything they can to keep this guy down. The only difference is Roman Reigns isn't really that much of a believable underdog babyface, I don't think. They did their best. They smashed his nose up and stuff and tried to make him, sympathetic, and it just didn't work for me. Roman Reigns needs to be an absolute badass who takes no shit from no one and can take a beating and can deal one out. And there is an element of that to his character now, but they just tried to make it too much about the Authority against Roman Reigns. Can he ever beat the Authority? And of course he did. They said at the end, he's had so many obstacles to overcome. He hasn't. He really hasn't. He's been handed this, and that's why the crowd are rejecting it. You give this guy a run as a heel, man, that's where the real money's going to start coming in, or, maybe not literal, but figuratively. That's where he's going to start working. Then you can go. I mean, people have said this. Austin says this on his podcast. It's not like I'm coming up with something that no one's ever thought of. Obviously, it's clear as day he needs to be a heel because the crowd are booing him, but I don't know, I thought maybe Vince would have the wherewithal to maybe turn Roman heel, but no, it seems like we're going back to WrestleMania 22, Triple H, John Cena. At the time, John Cena was really popular. People were starting to turn against him. Triple H was there as the heel, but he got cheered. Cena got booed, and they just stuck with Cena for the next 10 years as the top guy, and we're seeing the exact same thing now. So I think they're just going to John Cena the hell out of Roman Reigns. He's going to be the smiling babyface with the title, and it's not really going to... We're not going to have a number one guy who people genuinely love and are behind, which is always frustrating, And I love John Cena, but it's just I wish we had something different. Now I love Roman Reigns. I'll say that. I think he's got so much potential. I like his style. I just think that he wrestles well. He has a great look. Definitely has room for improvement, obviously, but I just he seems like a really good guy. I just feel like the way they write him, the way they book him, just doesn't work, and this match was very emblematic of that. The crowd just booing the hell out of Rome. We had the over-the-top Triple H entrance with Stephanie doing her 5-minute monologue, about how the Authority is rules all and everyone's sheep and all. I mean, they laid it on as thick as they possibly could to get you to boo Triple H, and they cheered the hell out of him. Roman got the pin. Steph dragged the referee out. Classic heel move. Crowd erupted in cheers. Thank you, Steph chants. Throughout the match, Nakamura chants, singing "Hey, hey, Bailey," singing "Ole, ole, ole," anything but what's going on in the ring. I just don't know. I took a piss break during the main event. I brushed my teeth. I took my time. I came back. Didn't feel like I missed much. from everything that I saw, it was a very good match. It was worked well, and there's some really nice spots there. I liked the spinning neck breaker off the announce table. I liked the sequence that led to the finish. It was a good little finishing sequence, but it just doesn't work because you have a guy who's supposed to be cheered and he's getting booed. And they just act it like, oh, this is great, the renaissance of the Roman Empire. It just ain't working. It ain't working, and I don't know what they're thinking. I really don't. I honestly think maybe they made the show so long so people wouldn't have enough energy to boo him, but they did. And so, I don't know, man. When you have 100,000 people booing the guy who is your number one babyface in the company, you have a problem on your hands. And conversely, you look at 2 nights ago, a show that made me feel like a kid again. Takeover, Shinsuke Nakamura and Sami Zayn, Bayley and Asuka, Finn Balor and Samoa Joe. 3 incredible matches that just again made me feel like a kid, and it was just like, this is amazing. This is wrestling, WrestleMania. I was a lot to love about it. I love the spectacle, I always do, but at the end of the night, it just left a sour taste in my mouth, and it's like, man, they just went ahead with it, didn't they? They thought, you're getting Roman Reigns, and he's gonna be positioned as the good guy. You're gonna boo him, and that's that. All right then, fair enough. So yeah, overall thoughts of WrestleMania 32. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of good stuff. My favorite moments were Zack Ryder winning the IC title. I thought that was great. I loved his elbow drop. That was awesome. I loved Shane and Taker for the story of it and just the sheer. It all built up to that moment at the end where Taker just patted Shane on the face when Shane was like, "Come on, bring it on, bring it." That was just great story. Great storytelling. Even if the match wasn't pretty, it was never going to be a pretty match. And the women's match, brilliant. Gotta hand it to them. It's really damn cool to see those women make it mean something. Truly, hats off to them. Again, it wasn't a perfect match, but it was a damn good one, and it was the best wrestling match on the card, and they deserved that, I think, to have that spot. And now we have the women's championship, so that's very cool. But yeah, I feel like they did the best they could to bring out all the surprises. Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold, Mick Foley, The Rock, John Cena back from an injury. Shaq, they did all this stuff. Shane going off the cell. Shane versus Taker was such a ridiculous match to begin with. I love Shane's kids coming out. That was really fucking cool. But they did the best they could, I think. Well, no, I'm not going to say that. They didn't do the best they could. They could have done better. But they did very well, I think, considering, Cena was out, not having a proper match. Rollins was out. All these injuries have been plaguing WWE recently. So, for my money, it was a good show. But I don't know. Maybe when I rewatch it tomorrow, I'll enjoy more. It's just the main event and the fact that I've been watching this shit for 7 hours that has really just waterlogged my brain into feeling like this was just a weird, not very good show. But when I think about it now and I talk about it, I loved a lot about it. So yeah, one of those weird manias, man, that it's hard to gauge it straight out the gate, And I've been talking for far too long. So thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about WrestleMania. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks for listening.